Just to repeat that the solidarity with Ireland and Irish issues is as strong, if not stronger, than it's ever been. We are confident that a deal can still be done to provide for a managed, sensible Brexit. But clearly there's work still to do. And after the Council meeting this week, the negotiating teams will, I hope, re-engage with a view to trying to close out on the issues that still remain open. But I think it is important to say that many of these issues are difficult because of the choices that Britain has made, not because of the choices that the EU has made. Britain has chosen to leave the European Union, has chosen to leave the single market, has chosen to leave the customs union. That raises serious problems and questions that need to be resolved through these negotiations. And in particular, from an Irish perspective, there are vulnerabilities and exposure that Ireland has which are much more significant than that exposure for other EU countries. And that is why the Barnier task force has been so insistent but also so supportive in the context of the need for a legally operable backstop on the Irish border question to be agreed as part of the withdrawal treaty or the withdrawal agreement, and that backstop would be there unless and until some other solution is agreed and found. That is the text that has been agreed last March, signed off on by the British government as well as the EU task force. And that is the text that we expect will be the basis of any final agreement.
Okay, Tony Taoiseach, is there any way that a form of words or a formulation can be found that would address this idea of the backstop being in some way time limited, or that there would be an agreed mechanism by which the backstop would cease to apply if better solutions come along?
Well, we already have a wording that's been agreed on that. It's in the text that is now coloured in green, which is agreed between the negotiating teams, which says that the Irish backstop needs to be legally operable. It needs to be consistent with paragraph 49 of the political agreement of last December, and it needs to be there unless and until other solutions are agreed and found. I mean, that is a text that is already signed off on and agreed. And that is the commitment that we expect followed through on. And the Barnier task force has been consistent on this. They have worked really hard to try and find ways in which they can de-dramatise a backstop to make it more acceptable politically for the British government. And there has been a lot of negotiation on how to do that over the last 10 days in particular, when there was very intensive negotiations up until about 48 hours ago. So, you know, we are at a point now where a lot has been agreed. A lot of technical work has been done to solve multiple problems, but there are a number of outstanding issues. And I think it's probably not helpful for me to go into the detail and the detailed wording in terms of how that gets solved. But what I do want to say is that we cannot sign up to, and I don't believe that Michel Barnier would ever ask EU countries to sign up to, a backstop for Ireland that is not there unless and until something better is agreed. Because if you set a date in the future when a backstop falls, well, then it's not a backstop at all, unless something is there to replace it that has been negotiated and agreed. It's always been the understanding from all sides that the backstop is an insurance mechanism that we hope we'll never have to use, because it's not an ideal solution. What the backstop does is it prevents any border infrastructure re-emerging on the island of Ireland. But of course what we would like is a future trading relationship that is so comprehensive as to not require any border infrastructure on the island of Ireland or anywhere else for that matter between the UK and the EU's single market and customs union. That is what we'd like to see, but it remains to be seen whether it's possible to negotiate a future trading arrangement that is that comprehensive. And that is why, to settle nerves and to reassure people on the island of Ireland that they're not going to see physical border infrastructure re-emerging between the two jurisdictions on the island of Ireland on 300 road crossings and on a 300-kilometre border, given the memories that people have of border infrastructure and the security infrastructure around border infrastructure. We want to provide an absolute assurance and a guarantee that that type of border infrastructure is never going to return. The British Prime Minister has signed up to that. We have supported it. The EU side has signed up to it too. And we need an insurance mechanism to make sure that people don't have to worry about that. And then we need to get on and hopefully be part of negotiating a very comprehensive future trading relationship that makes that backstop unnecessary and irrelevant.